Hey guys, I just want to give you a quick little update and what's going on with my double E hobby excavator. I got this about I want to say about 2 weeks ago now, and I love the little thing. The thing is great. It's strong. It's matter of fact, it's incredibly strong for being gear driven. I mean, I'm constantly ripping roots and stuff out of the ground. I love the detail, all the opening doors with the magnets holding them closed. I love that. I mean, it's a great model. And it would be perfectly fine the way it is without modifying it, without doing anything with it. If you just want to get a good construction vehicle that you can afford, that you can get into the hobby and you'd be happy with, and even as a first step to get up to the next scale ones like the and again I hate the company because there's some of their products are kind of yeah, but if you want to get something like an RC four-wheel drive one, or even go all out and get one of the really nice ones you see that are $10,000 or whatever, this is a good first step model. And like I said, it is perfect the way it is. That's the good things about it. I love it to death. Now, I'm going to say something that I never understood in the hobby, and there's probably a bunch of bean counters or somebody in focus groups that are telling them that it wouldn't be profitable. But companies like Tamiya, please build something like this. Build a wheel loader. Build it out of plastic. It'll be perfectly fine. Build one of these. Build construction vehicles. HPI, build construction vehicles. Kyosho, you do build construction vehicles, but build them to 1/14 scale. Huina, build 1/14 scale, not 1/16 and calling them 1/14. You know, I don't understand why those companies don't do it. I mean, even somebody like HPI, Axial, Team Associated, whatever, build one of these, because I feel that this hobby, part of the hobby, is actually getting more and more popular. And I can see in the next couple of years that maybe that would be an option for them. I know just from driving this around the front yard and my other vehicles, just the dump trucks driving them up and down the sidewalk, people constantly coming up to me asking me about them. They're constantly asking me questions like where they get them, how expensive they were, how robust will they dig. That's always the first question is, will it dig? And this one will dig, and this one will dig really good. And it doesn't have a problem or even complain about it. I'm very happy with this. But with all that good stuff, there is some bad stuff with it. And to me, the biggest bad is the radio. You know, um, I know it's a ready to run model, and I know there's going to be some guys that are going to be like, "Oh, you're just complaining because it's a ready to run and you don't like it." Well, yeah, that's true, but this radio probably cost as much. It probably costs as much as this radio. And this radio is a 10 channel. It has a digital readout. It does everything that it needs to do, plus more than this guy will ever do. The only downfall to these are there's no sliders. There's no way to control the tracks. And yes, it has two dials up here, but if you ever try to control tracks with the dials, it is hard. You can also step up for a little bit extra money, and get the radio link one. And this one does have sliders on the side. They're not self-centering, but but there is sliders on the side, and it is doable to drive the tracks with it, because that's how I drive that excavator right there. Um, and even the little guy over there too. So it's doable. And this radio wasn't that expensive. This was like $150. This is not an expensive radio either. Or if you even want to go to the old school, tried and true, been around forever, and it can't beat it, go to the old Fly Sky 9X. These guys are programmable, so you can program them to do whatever you want them to do. So, that's my biggest problem with this excavator is the radio equipment. I feel that they kind of cheaped out with the radio equipment. They gave you a hobby level machine, but they gave you a toy grade radio. But again, I use the big word digress. I digress because there's other companies out there that do the same thing. I'm not using the radios that come with my low-C Baja Rays because they're, to me, a toy grade too. I use primarily I use my Fly Sky GT. Oh goodness, this is one of those long names. The GT3B radio, and I also use my Futaba 23P PV. This is probably one of the best radios I got so far. You know, um, but that's one of the main bad things. The other bad thing is that as strong as it is and how fun it is, there's a couple of geometry problems. I mean, these are tiny problems. I mean, if somebody who doesn't care about this kind of stuff gets this, they would be completely fine with it. It'll never be a problem with them. But being an RC guy, and being a guy that loves to build model kits and stuff, to me, those little things wear at me. Like, for example, this is not long enough or short enough. I don't quite know which direction it needs to go. Or it could be these guys too. I think it might be more of these than this little H-beam. The bucket, when it curls, it won't curl to the point where it will hold the dirt. It curls straight. So when you go to load the bucket into the dump truck, the bucket is basically, I don't know if you can see it, like this instead of being like that. So all the dirt falls out if they have to lift it too high. Again, I'm back to putting it on top of a hill so I can load the trucks. To me, that's not scale. You don't usually see a lot of excavators sitting on top of a perfectly made hill to load a truck. They usually go to the hole they need to dig and they start digging. That's one of the things. The other thing is, and I don't know if the real one has it, again, this is a nitpick, but there's no light on the boom. And these lights don't really aim towards the ground. So if you driving around at night, you can't see what you're doing. But, it's whatever, But the big thing, the really big thing that bothers me about it, again, going back to the radio equipment, is this one and all system they have with the electronics. It may just be mine, but I have overheated this thing and it just stops moving. And again, I live in Florida, and like today, even though it's in the middle of winter, today it's 89 degrees outside. So it could be just the fact that it's inside of a metal box and it's cooking while I'm out there driving. But I've actually overheated it and it stopped, and I thought I broke it again. But after it cooled down and whatever, it started running again. And I know the battery wasn't bad because I took the battery and put it in my Kyosho Outlaw Rampage right there and drove it around for about 10-20 minutes. So I know the battery wasn't dead. That was the other thing. And the last thing that really kind of bothers me about it is the way that the electronics work. And for the life of me, and this is not a Chinese thing, this is not a Japanese thing, this is not an American hobby thing. This is toy companies not understanding how hobby grade stuff work, or wanting to put the money into hobby grade stuff. The voltage on this thing is all over the place. If you go to put this, for example, this little radio link receiver in it, every one of the speed controllers that control the RAMs, the drive, the whatever, they all feed power to the receiver. So you're going to blow this poor little guy up because every one of them feeds power to it, and it feeds a odd amount of power. It's like 7 volts instead of 6 volts, which is standard. It's 7 volts. So unless you have a receiver that can take a 7-volt battery, well, now you got a problem. So now, and it's possible, you can do it, but you're going to build a lot of more parts just to do something that you shouldn't have to do. You can there's a way that you can use a BEC and run the power lines to the BEC to bump the power down to your receiver. Or you can just find a receiver that'll work. Like I said, I've seen guys online and they change out the radio all the time. So again, it might be me too. But that kind of stuff has always been silly to me. It's kind of like that thing where you buy a cheap hobby grade car and the receiver and the speed controller are built into the same thing. Well, if one piece goes bad, now you got to replace both of them, or you have a servo that's a 6-wire servo instead of a 3-wire servo. Now you got to go and try to find this impossible servo to repair the only part that's bad in the car. So it's the same thing with this. So saying all that, what I want to do, and this is getting to be 10 minutes. I said I was going to make a short video, but it's almost 10 minutes long. I'm going to convert this to hydraulic, and I'm going to put it on the videos for you to show you how I did it. And these are some of the components that I've got so far. I got 3 waterproof brush speed controllers. 2 for the 2 for the tracks and 1 for the house. I have a 12-channel radial link receiver, to control it. And I'm going to be controlling it off of my radial link AT10. The next thing I got some of the hydraulic equipment. I have this Lesu pump. It's the old trusty pump that I've had for a little while, and it's never been used that much. It's a perfectly fine pump, but I ended up getting, when I bought this pump, I bought it with a dump cylinder for the dump truck, but I ended up getting a different style pump, the one that sits on the side that looks like a little piece of equipment, or like a fuel tank or something like that. I got a pump for that. So this one's just been sitting around, and again, it's perfectly fine. Doesn't have a lot of use on it. So I got a pump. I have a bunch of fittings that I got from a company called Hydraulic Hobbies. Here's the pressure gauge. Some braze-on fittings for the hard lines. Some more fittings for the cylinders and the internals, and some more fittings for the cylinders and internals. So I've got all that. Now I'm waiting for Magon HRC to send me the valve set and the pistons so I can get started on the project. But like I said, I'm going to convert this to hydraulic. And again, not because it's bad. Again, guys, this thing works awesome. Even with the radio systems and what I just said I didn't like about it, that's my personal don't like. This thing actually works really nice, and it's a great buy, and I think everybody or anybody that buys it would be happy with it. And to me, the biggest thing that I'm happy with it is that it's 1/14 scale. It's not 1/16, it's not 1/15.5, it's not 12, it's not 13, it's not 13 3/7. It's, even I don't think that's a real number, but it's not something funky. It's a 1/14 scale excavator. And for the life of me, I don't understand why that is so complex for companies to do, but that's, again, my personal bias, I guess. But yep, that's my update on this. And again, like I said, I'm giving this thing another thumbs up because it's a great model. And I would say to anybody, even guys who have better ones, if you want one just to go and play around with, and you don't have to worry about the hydraulics, you don't have to worry about repairing it or doing anything silly, just take it out and drive it, get one of these. If you're just getting into the hydraulic excavators and the RC construction equipment, and you want an excavator, but you don't want to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 for an excavator, get one of these. If you want something that I think personally is a counterpoint to the Cobalite hydraulic excavator, get one of these. If you want something like the Huina one, which is, I guess, this guy's direct competition, but you want it on the same scale as your dump trucks and your wheel loaders and your other equipment, get one of these. So hopefully that was a little informational video and give you a heads up to what I'm doing with it. Talk to you soon. Please subscribe and give me thumbs up. Thank you.